Greetings, this is the Timeshare Traveler. Today's episode 242, Work from Home Benefits Timeshares. I was just reading an article about vacancy rates in office buildings, and it's sticking at all-time highs even after the pandemic is over. So I thought, hey, this is a great idea. So here's my point. Work vacations are more popular with remote work. So I think that's an opportunity for more of us than we might realize. And then I'll talk about why timeshares are well suited for work vacations. And I picked Hawaii, but who wouldn't want to work and live in Hawaii for even a short period of time? And then things to consider when you do this is what I'll be talking about. So let me talk about work vacations more popular and why. All right, work vacations more popular with remote work. Again, I was reading an article about vacancy rates, and they were talking about, even though there was a lot of publicity about people are going back to work now from the office, they're saying vacancy rates all through 2024 have pretty much stuck at very high levels, almost 20% nationwide, and higher in some areas than even that. So I think there's been whatever people are going to have back to the office. A lot of that has already occurred. The pandemic is over. We're sort of whatever that's going to be. It's starting to settle out. Who knows? It could change a little bit, but it seems to be. So I know what that ultimately means is there are currently more people working from home, and then we had pre-pandemic, and so remote workers, one of the things they have is they can work remote, so they can do more vacations, more travel, just a slightly different lifestyle. And really, they're mostly, having done it myself, I just need a good internet so that I can be on a video call and so forth. So I think that's an interesting option for more and more people. And even those of you who are thinking coming out for careers or have kids and you giving them career guidance, maybe you can give them something to think about with regards to career choices. Anyway, that's what I want to talk about, more popular with remote work. Let me jump to the next topic. Next thing is I wanted to talk about why timeshares are well suited for work vacations. So basically, here's my view. Timeshares pretty much have all the convenience of a home. They have a kitchen, a bedroom, breakfast table, and often an office an office location for work, or you can use the table. You have to do some shopping at the last minute. You get there and you have to sort of cram it in, whereas you're kind of on a routine at home, but it's all doable. It's just a slightly different adjustment for that. The other thing I would say is, in my personal case, timeshares have more features than my home. Much nicer pools, and I don't have a hot tub. Well, actually, I don't even have a pool. So that works. And I find that the timeshares are higher quality than typically my home. So I have I'm not a super high-end home, and my timeshares are much nicer than my home. So it's kind of like, wow, I think I'm going to go work remote, and I'm going to have a greater experience staying in a nicer place than my home. And again, the other thing is, if you check around, if you have kids, there's actually a lot of the timeshares have activities, because even if people are on vacation, they want to spend time alone and want to be able to have activities for their kids. So that works nicely from a work perspective. And that's a little distinction. I don't want to pick on Airbnb, but I don't think you'll find that in the Airbnb space as much as you would find it in the timeshare space. So if you have little kids, obviously if kids are in school, you'd have to do it in the summer, but you might have opportunities there. And so the other thing with maintenance fees are typically the cost. And what I do is I take the number of points it takes to stay, calculate that as a percentage of my total maintenance fees, and determine what the cost is. And typically the timeshare, even though it's greater, has a much lower operating cost from a maintenance fee perspective than a hotel. So it's not only a better full feature, but it is actually cheaper. The other thing is, maybe you consider doing this instead of a family camp, because the cost of a family camp is higher. And so you can treat remote work as an alternative to a family camp. Next thing, who wouldn't want to work and live in Hawaii, or really some other exotic location? I find Hawaii. a place I wouldn't mind working and living. So I, as a remote worker, that would be great. But you can pick other exotic locations. In Hawaii, I just want to bring up that point. There's a Costco, and I always compared Costco prices in California, where I live, to Costco prices in Hawaii, and the prices were the same. I'm sure there's some that are different, but in general, I found them to be the same. And for those of you who would be renting a car, it is typically the cheapest place in Hawaii to get gas. So if you're going to do that, nothing wrong with having a Costco membership. I hate to say it, but it's a break from cleaning the house. You're in Hawaii and you're working, but you don't have to clean the house. Seems like a bonus to me. And again, if you have young kids, see about a babysitter. That's one of the things that timeshares over Airbnb, they tend to have services like that. They have some services. And if you happen to have a teenager, then there's an income opportunity for the teenager to be that babysitter as well. Not that you want to farm out your kids, but it might be actually a nice break, and then spend family time together when you're working, off work. And again, I think doing remote work, there's some level of a break from your routine. You're obviously in a different location. And hey, this is an opportunity to get more of your bucket list done than just tying it into the 2 weeks of vacation that you have. If you're a working couple, if you can even manage to schedule vacations in alignment with each other. So there's always some challenges in schools and everything. So if you can figure out how to do this, I think it's great. And I think, why not? Who wouldn't want to? And if you can, make it work. Lastly, here's some things that consider. So typically you're going to have to adjust your hours. You're at a different time zone where you're traveling to. And you have to be available for the same schedule from where you are typically at home. So for your remote calls and Zoom calls. But there's the upside to that is, if that's true, I'm picking on Hawaii because that's to be consistent. So you'd have to get up early to work if your work is on the mainland. But you'd be done early, so you have to actually have the afternoons to go lie on the beach, read a book, or go explore the island. And it wouldn't be during work hours because you've got at least a 3-hour difference, even for California, and potentially even more if you're from the East Coast, which might make getting up early really early. Anyway, the other thing was when you fly, you're going to now probably have to fly during the weekends, which is often more expensive, but you don't want to have to take a vacation and fly during a work day, and avoid missing meetings and all that kind of stuff. And again, just in case it wasn't obvious, airplane's not really the Wi-Fi is not good enough for even calls, and definitely not good enough. I don't even know if you can do a Zoom call on the current Wi-Fi. Maybe that'll change in a few years with Starlink or something like that. More importantly, there's no privacy in a plane, and you would ignore every one of your neighbors. The other thing is managing scheduling. I think there's something to consider. Like if your business has regular meetings with not that often, last minute things where you're planning to be out on a hike and all of a sudden a meeting gets scheduled immediately and you're jumping on it. That could be a challenge. The other thing is try not to point your camera. You notice I'm pointing mine in toward the living space. It looks like any other living space. Don't point it at the pool. Don't point it at the ocean. Not a good look. Anyway, I think that's kind of the thing that you have to worry about. Anyway, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my channel right now, and hopefully you'll like this video and give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed, don't forget to subscribe. Hi, this is Cliff, and I'm the Timeshare Traveler. Welcome to my channel. The purpose of my channel is to educate those who love traveling in timeshares. I've been an owner for 15 plus years at timeshare ownership. I have elite ownership with Marriott, Hilton, and Worldmark. I have published over 100 timeshare video reviews, and I've published over 95 timeshare tips. I can be found on Facebook at Timeshare Trav, at Twitter, Timeshare Trav, and on the web at www.timesharetraveler.com.